Press conference will be held in English, so only the non-English speakers need the earphones. Meanwhile, I'd like to introduce everyone on the platform. I hope I get it right. On my right is Sandip Rai, son of Satyajit Rai, and also, I think, who worked on the film and actually finished it. You obviously recognize Ms. Chatterjee, who was the star of the film, the female star of the film, and another Chatterjee. It seems like everybody in Bengal is called either Chatterjee or Banerjee, who of course you remember plays Sandip. And then on our far left we have Madam Tambai Vaidya from the Indian Film Finance Corporation, is it called?
National Film Development
NFDC,
Corporation.
NFDC, National Film Development Corporation. So take some pictures for a bit, and then we'll start. This is difficult to do both.
Hello.
Smile. Sure.
You are called Shaumendra or
I wonder how many
Soumitra?
pictures ever appear anywhere. They
This
take
O
hundreds.
instead of the is always.
Well, I think we perhaps better begin now. I'd like to start the ball rolling myself by asking Mr. Rai a question. We have read in the papers that this is a project that your father has been thinking about for many years now. One thing I was interested about is that, having prepared myself, I read the novel before coming here. And it's very interesting that the novel is very modern in a sense, in that every chapter is divided into 3 sections, and each of the 3 main characters, Bimala, Sandip, and Nikhil, tell his or her own version of the events. I know this would be awfully difficult to do in the cinema, but was it ever considered as a possibility of telling the story from 3 different points of view?
Yes, it's in the film.
Well, but not first person, no. Exactly, is
Well,
it?
there's 3 viewpoints.
Yes.
Bimola's, Nikhil's, and Shandip's.
No, what I
And
meant,
the
yes.
third, third is the director's viewpoint.
Ah,
The final viewpoint.
the final
is-
viewpoint,
The
yes.
final viewpoint is the director's. It was conceived in that way.
Yes. Oh,
I have to.
well, just move it closer.
Well, there are 4 viewpoints. The first is Bimola's, I think, Bimola's, then Nikhil's, and then Shandip's. And the 4th viewpoint is the director's viewpoint.
Any questions from the audience? Please wait for the microphone to come to you, because otherwise it won't be heard by anyone. Yes, yes, sir.
I'm sorry because I haven't seen the film yet because I was watching the documentary and Satyajit Ray's music at the same time, so I'll be seeing the film at 2 o'clock. But I wanted to ask Mr. Sandip Ray, what have you done exactly? What was your work on finishing the film of your father? Because
Well, some shooting, some patchworks, and the laying of the tracks, and the mixing.
But
I
did
did
you
that.
actually
Everything was done according to his instructions. Everything.
Did you actually shoot
Some portions,
several
yes.
sequences?
Some portions, yes.
Yeah. All right. So I'm sorry I can't ask any question about the film yet.
I haven't seen the documentary. Have you seen it?
Yes.
Did you like it?
Yeah, very interesting. Very interesting. Well, it was the last screening, so I'll see the film at 2.
Okay. La suite. Louis. Yeah? Oh, somebody must have something to say, surely.
So do we talk between ourselves? or
I think we're talking ourselves, yes. I don't know. Let's start with the lady at the end from the Indian Development Film Development Corporation. Was this film entirely financed by you? Your
Yes,
group?
that's right. We are proud that we have been able to be associated with the production of this film.
It says in the newspaper that it's cost more than any other of Rai's films, but this is always, to me, seems nonsense because every year everything costs more. So to compare a film made now with one made 20 years ago doesn't really make much sense unless you adjust the amount of money to inflation. And we all know here in Cannes that everything goes up every year. Restaurants, bars, everything, hotels. So presumably, where was the film shot?
Shot entirely in the studios.
Entirely in the studio?
Studios. Not entirely.
Well,
no,
no.
few parts.
Has the film been opened in India yet?
No, not yet.
Uh-huh. But do you have any idea what sort of reactions you'll have?
I don't know. That's
No.
anybody's guess.
No, of course, no. I wasn't thinking specifically about reactions to the artistic qualities of the film, but, well, the whole problem of Hindu and Muslim.
Well, let's see. We are keeping our fingers crossed. One never knows.
Of course. But you think the film will be shown outside Bengali? Because I've understood that in many cases your father's films were often shown only sort of in cine clubs in the rest of India, but only shown widely in Bengal. Bengal. Is it still?
Outside Bengal, you better
You know,
ask
may
her.
I say something on this?
Sure.
It is true that Mr. Ray has always preferred to make his films in Bengali, which is his own
Sure.
language. It is certainly most popular, and they look forward to Mr. Ray's films in his own state, which is Bengal. And we have a scheme whereby we will be subtitling all such films, and Mr. Ray's in particular, of course,
In Hindi.
which will be shown all over India.
You subtitled it in just one language.
Subtitled in various regional languages.
Well, yes, there's so many.
We have 16 national
I
languages.
know. Plus English. Yes. Oh, we can't hear you. Sorry. Is the microphone on?
Is it on?
Yeah, now it's
Now
on.
it's on.
Right. Soumitra has been in many of Mr. Ray's films. In fact, he was the adult Apu. And I
that's
think
right.
this is the first time he's played the part of a character which is not so pleasant. And I'd like to ask him how he felt being a sort of mini villain instead of a hero.
Well, just 1 second. Are you really a villain? I have my, I don't know. You tell us.
I think this gave me an opportunity to do something different, and I enjoyed it thoroughly. Usually in Bengal, I'm considered to be a romantic lead sort of an actor.
Oh, you're romantic here? All right. As well.
When I was cast in this role, I was a little perplexed as to, because you know the role of this revolutionary is not very believable in the original novel. And I was thinking how to approach the character, but then it struck me that should be that he's basically a lover or a playboy or whatever, that kind of a person. And although not very sincere, which gave me the cue, and that's how I approached it.
Was the character that you play based on any historical person? Or
No, I don't think so.
No, just
No.
amalgam. But the movement did exist, surely.
Yeah, the movement was there.
Yes.
About the release of the film, may I just add one more
Sure,
sentence?
yes, please.
You know, because of Mr. Ray's illness,
Yes.
it was delayed. The completion of the film was delayed.
Yes.
And the first print that we got, you know, we had to do the rush jobs. We had to send them to Paris. So
Yes, I thought everyone knew that.
So-
Perhaps they didn't.
We have
Mr.
to
Ray.
secure
question
it
of
for
release
technical
before
reasons,
it is
you know.
shown here.
Have to
Sure.
reach
But
Paris.
we expect that it would be released sometime in September,
Uh-huh.
which is a good season for India.
Yes.
Comment se fait-il qu'il ne soit jamais question de Gandhi, et pas la moindre allusion, il me semble, à Gandhi dans ce film?
Why is there no reference whatsoever to Gandhi in this film?
Must there be a reference to Gandhi in every film? We have produced a film on Gandhi by itself.
Vous avez compris? C'est-à-dire que est-ce qu'il faut avoir une référence à
any
Gandhi
case, I
dans
don't think-
chaque film? On a financé un film sur Gandhi déjà tout seul, alors je crois que l'idée c'est que ça suffit pour
Let
cette
him rest
année.
in peace now.
What?
Let him rest in peace.
Ce qui reste, paix à son âme. Anyone else? Oui, madame, yes.
I'd like to know if the role of the woman in the film is that one that could shock Indian audiences, and if she's so liberated, why is it that she doesn't eat with her husband but only watches him eat? Those are two separate questions.
Well, that was the custom, you see.
Yes, that was the custom in those days. It still exists.
But it was
Some-
also the custom that she not go
Yes.
out.
It was usually the custom, and it is still now, for the women to wait for the husband to complete his meals before.
And then they eat afterwards, or have they eaten before?
They eat afterwards.
Afterwards. Micro, oui.
Oui,
Yes.
je l'ai effectivement. Dans le film, tout le début du film se situe à l'intérieur de la maison et on ne sort finalement et on a une vue de l'extérieur que très longtemps après. Est-ce que c'est quelque chose qui est parallèle au chemin que fait la femme de la maison pour aller elle aussi vers le monde extérieur?
The first part of the film takes place almost entirely inside the house, and only after quite a while do we go out. Is this meant to be a parallel or symbolic rendition of the fact that the wife only slowly decides to leave the house?
No, there's nothing of that sort.
Non, apparemment, c'était pas spécialement voulu. Enfin,
It's
non.
not deliberately intended, though.
Non. Mais qui sait? C'était pas fait exprès, mais peut-être que c'est possible aussi. Oui.
Est-ce que la fragilité du discernement de la femme n'est pas mise en exergue?
N'est pas mis en quoi?
La fragilité du discernement, le manque de jugement de la femme n'est pas mis en vedette.
Isn't too much made of the lack of discernment or lack of perspicacity of the woman? Isn't too much made of that in the film? I think c'est ça que vous voulez dire? C'est mis en vedette dans le sens que trop. C'est ça que vous voulez dire?
I don't quite follow that.
Madame, c'est ça que vous vouliez dire?
Je n'ai pas entendu.
Non, je vous dis, vous dites que ce manque de discernement est mis en vedette.
C'est
Vous voulez
ça.
dire que, selon vous, c'est trop?
La faiblesse du jugement.
Right. Too much is made of your weakness of judgment in the film, this lady thinks. Why?
Well, it's how the novel is, and I suppose that is how Mr. Ray has made the script.
And what year does the film take place? In what year does the film take place?
Well, it is 1907, 8.
Le film se passe en 1908, alors les choses ont beaucoup changé depuis, évidemment.
It's a famous novel by Mr. Rabindranath Tagore, and it has been translated into many foreign
Many
languages.
languages,
yes.
Many languages.
Yes, indeed.
I think also in French.
Ah, même en français, paraît-il, ça a été traduit. I know that the English edition that I read was one from 1922, and they have little footnotes to explain things. And one of the things they feel they have to explain is the word sari. Because in 1922, apparently, people in England didn't know what a sari. Now, of course, everybody knows. Because non-Indian people wear them. But they explain that sari is a loose-fitting garment worn by women in India. And there were lots of little notes like that.
Je crois que c'est traduit en français aussi.
Comment?
Je crois que c'est traduit en français aussi.
Oui, apparently it's been translated into French as well. Whether it's in print or not, I don't know. Yes, sir.
A question to Swatilekha. How, as I know, this is your first film.
Yes.
How Ray spotted you?
Well, I have been acting on stage for the last 6 years, and only in 1981, I think, no, 1980, sorry, 1980, 81, just December, round about December. I was acting on stage in a play
Life of Galileo by Brecht. No. So I was acting as the housekeeper, if you have read the play. And Mr. Ray had come. You see that the play itself had created quite a stir for the Calcutta audiences and for Bengal. So Mr. Ray had also come to see the film, the stage production. And so it was there that he spotted me.
Yes, oui. Micro par là, s'il vous plaît.
Il y a un changement de rapport, de comportement par rapport au mari de la part de la femme, qui me paraît un peu trop improviste, un peu trop... elle écoute une explication du mari et elle change complètement d'avis par rapport à l'autre. Je voudrais savoir qu'est-ce qu'elle pense là.
What do you think of the fact that the wife seems to change her feelings towards her husband rather quickly, rather almost suddenly? Do you think this is realistic or likely?
I don't think it is sudden, that sudden. There are a lot of...
No, I don't think so either. What do you think, Ms. Chatterjee?
Well, I think that Bimola was inclined to change from the very beginning, since she had not met anybody else outside her husband, except her husband. So the moment she steps out of the world, into the world from her home, the first person she meets is a very flamboyant speaker, and a very handsome person at that.
Yes.
So it is quite natural that she should change after 10 years of secluded living.
Perhaps everyone doesn't realize it was 10 years before.
There has been a lapse of 10 years.
Yes. Well, that would make a difference. And of course, the Sandip is introduced into the house by the husband as his best friend, and so naturally she'd start out by being polite and friendly, and then, then of course things happen.
Do you mean to say that she changes her mind in the beginning or in the end? In the end.
Oh,
You're talking. I see.
I got it wrong too.
Well, she does realize in the end that he is not the ideal after all.
No.
The first meeting and the instant falling in love is, of course, has been all an illusion. This she realizes. And she knows who the real person is.
Yes, that's one of the most moving moments in the film, actually, when you see this sudden realization that the revolutionary hero is perhaps not exactly...
Not the idle person after
not,
all.
It is not the fake one.
No.
Sort of a fraud or something.
Well, semi-fraud.
Yeah, semi-fraud.
Probably a fraud who believes himself what he thinks, what he says. Maybe, I don't know.
To an extent, yeah.
I think many political leaders, they may be frauds, but they believe it themselves. They convince themselves that they're doing it all for the cause. Only, as we're told in the film, women have more intuition, and eventually the intuition works. Yes. Y a-t-il quelqu'un? Ah, encore une par là.
Non, ce n'est pas une question, c'est une réaction personnelle.
Ah.
Moi, je trouve vraiment absurde que devant un film comme ça, il y a simplement 20 journalistes ici. Un film admirable, et devant des films de Houston et d'autres qui sont moins réussis, il y avait plein de monde ici. Peut-être on l'a déjà dit au début, mais c'est absurde. Ça montre qu'il y a d'accord, il n'y a pas M. Rai, et nous regrettons, mais ça montre qu'il n'y a pas de sérieux dans les journalistes. C'est pas possible. Ils courent derrière les vedettes, alors c'est absurde. Complètement absurde. Il faudra l'écrire, ça.
This is not a question.
Traduisez bien.
This is a statement. It's absurd that there are so few people here today after such a remarkable film, whereas it seems as if the press is so unserious that all they do is run after stars, and person's complaining that there are so few people here. So I say it's not a question, it's a commentary, which is, I think, quite justified. Of course, we must remember also that a lot of people have already left Cannes, but still, tout de même. No,
Oh, thank you for.
No, it's,
I would like to ask also if this film is made to influence the attitude of the Indian population actually. Can this influence the attitude of Indian mentality today? I mean, when they will see this film, will they be thinking in another way after they've seen it?
One can
Will
never-
this open different horizons, different visions?
Well, that nobody can tell. I mean,
Yeah, but-
let the film be released.
It
Yes,
must
but
be
it-
having
but-
some influence on women. I mean, on the attitude towards women. It should be.
I think the question probably refers to the relationship between Hindu
Well,
and Muslim. I don't know. Is that
may
what
I
you
say
mean?
I don't
something?
think
Yes,
it'll
please.
affect it.
Well, this particular film is about three individuals set against the background of a very turbulent period. That is 1907. That was the time of the terrorist movement, and followed by the partition in Bengal, and you know. So this is a story of 1907. But at the same time, it is also, I mean, Bimola or Sandip or Nikhil can be just anybody, and especially in Bengal. You see, it can be, each character can be identified.
This is this can be an actual story,
Yes.
except for the political movement.
The movement
But
which does not exist anymore.
The interior, intimate, traditional life
Yes.
probably keeps going on.
Yeah.
But
Doesn't it?
Yes.
do characters like Nikhil still exist? Are there still Maharajas like Nikhil?
No.
No.
That's gone.
That makes a
That-
difference.
that
That makes a
period
difference.
is-
Yes, that's-
that period is
Well,
gone.
Nikhil, I don't think
Yes.
he is merely a Maharaja.
No, I'm
I
saying
mean,
neither,
I can
but-
always, I can almost see Mr. Shatterjee Rai as Nikhil.
Oh.
See,
But Tagore is Nikhil. I mean,
see.
if you see it
So
that
I
way.
don't think that
Interesting. Uh-huh.
one can
All this-
say whether this person will exist or not.
Right. Anybody else?
What I wanted to know were that if family traditions actually in India are still ingrained as in this film, are they
Yeah.
still there? I mean, you don't have to be a Raja to
No, it's
keep your
still there.
wife in your house and not have her want to go out too much.
Family relationships have not undergone much of change.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Yes.
It is
I
still
mean,
there.
politics have changed. Many things have changed, but these traditions, I felt anyway. I felt that
Yes.
Mr. Ray wanted to show that to the Indians today and to the world today, what can happen if things should be changing or should be looked at in different ways.
Yeah, maybe well, it's
Today, actually today.
Yes, it
With
does.
with a historical reference, of course.
Yes. You know, family traditions continue, except that the women have come a long way. In the sense, we have a woman prime minister.
Seclusion
Yes,
is not there,
indeed.
definitely. Not to
And the
that extent
seclusion
now.
doesn't exist anymore.
No, not to that extent.
Now, would the sister-in-law, whose husband has died, would she still live with her
Yeah,
dead
in many
husband's
families,
brother?
yes, they do.
That they would.
Yes, that's
That's
possible.
true,
Yes.
that's true.
That's still.
And white is still the color of mourning.
Yes, absolutely. That's essential.
Uh-huh.
I'd like to say a few words about the women in Bangladesh or India or that part of the world. In this particular story, it was encouraged, and at the same time, the story itself discouraged a bit the fact that a woman is going out by day. And when the result wasn't very good, that the particular woman went out of the room, or really her home. But at present, it's not that.
No.
At present, the audience should realize that the result that the women are coming out is doing the what should I say, the society, making the society a better place, I suppose. So that is a point to discuss, I suppose.
Is the lady over en rose?
I have some trouble with the two men in the movie. I don't understand whether the political leader is he really trying to make a statement, or is he just a villain and a bad romantic hero?
I
Is he
don't suppose
justified?
he is a villain in the strictest sense of the term. He believes believes in some of his ideas, but then is incapable of being sincere and true to his ideals, and sort of exploits the situation where he is placed.
So that undermines his whole political. So
That-
he doesn't. There's no ideological or political statement behind what he represents.
Yeah.
Or is there?
Well, he has some amount of ideological and political background, but the trouble is that he is not firmly convinced about them himself. He thinks that his own seeking of power is more important to him than to sort of promote anything else.
But then doesn't it mean that the way he's shown in the movie that undermines any nationalist sentiment or any?
It should not, because if he would have been shown that he is a typical revolutionary, or rather all revolutionaries, political people are like that, then you could have said that it undermines the national aspirations or the causes. But here he is a particular type, I suppose. He's very particular. He's not general.
But he is the villain in the film.
No. How do you keep?
No?
Why must you insist on calling people villains or good people? It's much more complicated than that.
He's not totally black.
No. It's more complex than that.
Okay, is the husband a hero? It's a question. It's an open question.
No, but I mean, must one see characters in films as heroes or villains and nothing in between? I mean, it's not for me to say. It's you go ahead and say it. But I mean, I just,
No,
You have answered.
It's an open question. Is he a hero? Well, maybe there's some answers. I don't know.
But what do you think?
I would like to say something to you. We have not seen the film ourselves, so we don't know what the complete version looks like. But you may be able to know who is the hero and who is the villain, or whether they can be stamped as something different and not merely as hero or villains. I think it is.
Yeah, they are
best
human
for you
beings,
to
complex human beings.
Richard, I would just like to know how popular the Tagore novel is still today in India, and whether it was popular when it was published, and whether it had a political influence at the time in the direction in which the film obviously points us, which is to apply more understanding.
It is still very widely read, and it had been a controversial novel when it first appeared. And I think this novel will remain a controversial piece because of its treatment of a revolutionary character in the fashion way how he has dealt it.
Mm-hmm. Est-ce que ce film est une réponse indienne au film de Gandhi?
Comment?
Une réponse, une vision indienne sur la même période que le film de Gandhi a traité.
Given that this film takes place in part the same period as Gandhi, is this a reply to the Gandhi film?
No.
I don't think so.
Anybody else?
What kind of a reply?
I don't know. Just a moment, please. Thank you.
I'd like to ask you how you felt. You know, you were in theatre before, and this is your first film.
Yes.
How was it from the move from theatre to film, and then how was it to be directed by Mr. Ray?
And that's a very difficult question to ask. Everything had a novelty for me, you see, right from entering the studio, because I've never been in a studio before. So, and the directing part was later.
Was the film shot chronologically? I mean,
scene-wise, you mean?
Scene-wise, yes.
Yes.
Because that's what apparently many theatre people find difficult.
Except for the portions where it had to be shot outside.
Well, that must have made it easier then, because
yes, it was
many people
easier
from the theatre
because
can't get used
the
to
major part of it was done in a period of 30 days. 30 days, scene-wise, chronologically.
45 days.
So it was easier to get into it and remain involved. See.
Although you haven't seen the completed film, have you seen rushes?
Oh yes, we have. We have had to see rushes because we had to do the dubbing.
And how did you like yourself? And this is the first time you've seen yourself act, isn't it? I mean, you can't see yourself act on the stage. Is it a strange feeling?
Yes, it is.
I think it must be.
She was very busy syncing the lips, you know, so syncing it right.
Y a-t-il d'autres questions?
Oh, he's much better, but still, you know, very weak.
Sir?
There's a reference in the film to the Gita, and you say something about Rama, the hero, not being a hero to you. Could you explain that a bit? Because for Westerners, it's a bit difficult.
The Gita,
I couldn't get you.
There's a reference in the film to
the Gita, yeah.
Yes, and the line is something to the effect that Rama, the hero, is not a hero to you, or to the revolutionary. Could you explain that a bit?
Well, I don't know if I am in a position to explain this, because this should be explained by the director himself, because it is.
I mean, the Gita is not very well known in the West, and for Western audiences, I think the whole
Ram
thing's
in the first place is not in Gita. Ram is in the epic Ramayana, and Ram is not a hero to Sandip, because he considers himself to be a special kind of a person. He's different. He thinks he's much too different to adore Ram, who is worshipped all over India. This only sort of emphasizes the nature of his ego, that he is not satisfied in being one in many. He wants to be different. Yeah, and maybe also there is another allusion behind that Ram, because Ravana, who was the principal enemy of Rama, was ultimately found out to be a worshipper of Rama, worshipping him through enmity.
Anybody else? Yes.
Moi, je voudrais féliciter le décorateur et le coloriste du film, et je voudrais savoir en particulier pour toutes les séquences qui ont été tournées dans les grenats et dans les carmins, si c'est une couleur qui correspond à une époque de l'Inde, ou si ce sont encore des couleurs qu'on trouve là-bas, parce que ce sont des couleurs qu'on trouve rarement dans le cinéma occidental.
The question is about the photography, and particularly the color. I'm not quite sure the words in English. Garnet and carmine, I think, are the kinds of red that are used. And the question was, are these colors still used in India, or was this a reconstruction of colors that used to be used?
It's more yellowish than I haven't seen this print. So it's difficult for me to.
Monsieur n'a pas vu cette copie. Selon lui, c'était plutôt jaunâtre que grenade ou carmin.
It's more yellowish than, you know, this.
C'est plutôt jaune que rouge, mais enfin, en principe, ça devrait l'être.
That's because of the candles and.
Je parlais surtout des décors, des costumes et de la couleur dominante de beaucoup de séquences intérieures sur les rouges.
The dominant color in many of the interior scenes is a kind of red, at least it is on this print.
Oh. that I have to see.
Then
It was yellow.
Non, c'était censé être jaune.
Ah non, il y a quand même beaucoup de séquences qui sont
The
dans les
print we
rouges.
supervised was yellow. It was yellow. Now it's become red. I don't know. I have to see it tonight.
Faut que ce soit, on transigera parce que.
Richard, I think he's asking about the sets and the dresses and the upholstery in the film. The use of red in the film as a color, almost as a character in the film. Whereas the sets are often decorated in red, the dresses are in red. This is what he meant more than the print itself.
Mm-hmm.
I think the colors used in the set are still being used in India somewhat, but then not generally, because that you must have recognized that it's a feudal household, and that kind of household has stopped existing anymore. You know, although the older houses which still exist, we still find the composition of red and those colors very often.
Bien. Ben, s'il n'y a pas d'autres questions. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Well,
Thank
thank
you
you.
very much.